It's a new day, Noonan. Oh, yes, it is. Zatarans, rice, and chicken, I think. What is Zataran? Zataran's a rice, right? Maybe I think it's like a hamburger helper type thing. Let's see. Our first Google of the day: Zatarans. I think it's like a hamburger helper where it's got like the different stuff mixed in, but it's mainly rice. No, it looks like it's a bunch of things. It looks like it's got some rice and some bean bowls. That one's just pasta with Alfredo. So I guess, okay, for some reason I thought Zatarans was just rice. There's some creamy blackened chicken, dirty rice mix. Oh, Zatarans. Ooh, dirty rice. Anyways, it is me, Noonan Time with Harold. My voice is a little on the squiggly side today. I have been sick. I've been a sick man the last, it feels like it's been like a week and a half now, but I don't know. But it's starting to come back. I'm starting to get my old lung capacity up to snuff. And I wanted to hop in here because it has been 2 weeks since a podcast has been posted. We did not post one last week. And the reason for that is very simple. I forgot. Forgot is not the right terminology. See, I'm at this point now where I have all these people that want to come on and be interviewed. People from Noonan, Sonoya, Peachtree City, Fayetteville. And I need to organize it. So it was a point where nobody could do last week, but there was a bunch of people that want to do it still. So I was like, okay, if nobody can do it last week, then I just won't do one. But I should have done one because I am all about having the longest running podcast in Noonan and the longest running hilarious social media account in Noonan. That is what I am known for. So I'm sorry I let you down last week, but also that's okay. I don't think you noticed. I ain't worried about it. But I am Noonan Time with Harold. I run NoonanTimeWithHarold.com. I run Noonan Time with Harold on Facebook and Instagram. I do some events throughout downtown Noonan mostly, but I do some other events too in other places. I'm a trivia host locally and further than locally. I am an improv director. I am an actor. And I am here for you to make you smile. That is what I exist for. Is to make you smile and make you learn about Zatarans' many, many offerings of crab boil, Cajun-style mac and cheese, Creole seasoning, and that dirty, dirty rice, and Caribbean rice, too, and Spanish rice and jerk chicken. I am on the Google Images page of Zatarans. I will be honest, I spelled it wrong. I didn't know there was an I before the NS. I thought it was like Zatarans, like they ran, but it's like Zatarains, like it rains. So that's interesting. We're learning a lot about Zatarans. Maybe this will be the Zatarans episode. It won't be. You can also find my podcast anywhere you enjoy podcasts at Noonan Podcast with Harold. I think that's all the things. Oh, and I have an entertainment company. It's called High Spirits Entertainment. You can look up highspiritsentertainment.com. Or you can contact me at any of the normal places that you can contact me. And I host trivia, stand-up comedy shows, improv shows. I teach improv. If you have like a group that wants to learn some improv comedy, I've been doing this for 20 years. So there's all kinds of fun stuff I can teach you. Learn about my business. I got a business over there. Harold has been blowing the smudge up, my friends. We hit 3.5 million views in the last 28 days. So that is exciting. We are celebrating 9,000 followers. We have almost doubled in size in the last 3 months. So that's pretty exciting. If you didn't see it, we just did a live painting on Facebook where we painted the courthouse on the square, my favorite wall. And I have that painting up on my wall right now. I signed it. My friend signed it who helped me paint it. My girlfriend signed it who helped me paint it. And then 2 kids signed it who showed up towards the end. And you got it. Helped me paint it. We've got some exciting stuff coming up on the Facebook Live that you're going to want to check in. We try to do all of our special events on Mondays. But Monday, October 20th, we are doing a tarot card reading to tell you who the next mayor, or who will be the mayor, might not be the next, might be Brady again, but who will be the winner of the mayoral race in Noonan. A tarot card reader is coming to my house, and we're going to get on Facebook Live, and they are going to show us who it's going to be. And I'm very excited about that. I also have a few things in the works with some ghost hunters. Things are spooky. It's October, that are going to bring me along on some of their local adventures to see if ghosts are real or not. And I'll get to experience that. We'll do that on Facebook Live. Of course, ghost hunting on Facebook Live is going to be a lot of fun. Again, we do all this for no real reason except for it is a good time, and I like having a good time. Speaking of good time, this is where an ad would go for like Blue Chew or something, but I don't have one. So if you want to promote on this podcast, just contact us, noonantimewithharold@gmail.com, or message us on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. However you can find a way to contact us, we can get your business mentioned on our podcast. Or the website, whatever. Do I need money? Yes. Do I want to make money? Yes. Do I expect you to give me money? Also, yes. What do I need to use that money on? Well, baby, you know what it is. And it's Zatarain's cilantro lime seasoning and Zatarain's sausage and chicken gumbo. Now, today we have a very wonderful podcast episode for you. What we are going to do today is recap this past Tuesday's mayoral debate in downtown Newnan. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait, Harold, what the heck? There is a mayoral debate in downtown Newnan for the mayor of Newnan? And the answer to that is yes. I don't think it was in downtown Newnan, but there was a mayoral debate this past Tuesday featuring James Shepard, Danny Beck, and Keith Brady. And what's going to make this an interesting review, a recap, is that I wasn't there, right? And not only was I not there, I haven't watched it, even though it is available on video currently. I'm recording this Thursday morning. Why have I not watched it? Well, because my child had her first middle school chorus concert on Tuesday night, and I had to decide, do I care more about watching a local political mayoral debate, or do I care about watching my daughter, who was singing at the exact same time the debate was going on, sing songs with her school? And I chose to watch my daughter sing songs with her school. Very, very proud of her. And then yesterday I was sick, which was just great, which would have been a great time to watch the debate. But I thought it would be more fun to recap and review the debate without having watched it. I love doing that. I love having an opinion on things without being there and having an informed opinion on things. So we're going to do that today on our podcast episode. We're going to recap the mayoral debate with me having not seen it. So that's what we're going to do. And how are we going to do that? We're going to base what I assume it was like off of social media's reactions to the mayoral debate. Because thankfully, I am never let down by the fact that people all over Facebook are gonna comment their thoughts. We live in a society where people believe you have to have an opinion on everything immediately and you need to share it. Saying, I don't know, I'm not informed enough to know, and right now I don't really want to learn, but maybe I will later, is not something people say. It is, you need to take a side on pretty much every stance. Maybe not every stance, but you do not hear people often say, oh, I don't know, I don't care to know, it's not important to me, or, I should learn more about it, but I haven't yet because I am a disappointing person. But I am all right saying, you know what, I should have watched the debate by now. But I'm going to turn a negative into a positive, and I'm going to give you a recap of it based on the incredibly outspoken people all over Newnan. Now, have I prepared? Have I picked my favorite comments? No. Have I picked things from the recap that I want to hit? No, I haven't, because as you know about Newnan Podcast with Harold, we are an improvised treasure trove of knowledge. What makes us special is that we do not plan out our podcast. Did I know this is what I was going to talk about today? Zatarain's and a mayoral recap? No, I didn't. What I do is I hit play, or I hit record. I don't hit play. I hit record, I start looking on social media and I start looking at notes that I've kept track of. And I go to my social media and I go to the noonandtimes.com and I just pick some stuff to talk about. And what that has led, a lot of people would think, Harold, that's dumb. Prepare. How could I ever trust you to host trivia or teach improv or be my friend if you won't prepare for it? Well, of course I'll prepare for those things. Okay? But this thing is different. I have grown exponentially, thanks to my ability to make stuff up as I go along. And that's what we're doing today, my friends. My babies, we are going to decide what happened at the mayoral debate based solely on social media's reaction to the mayoral debate. Now, let's give you a little bit of background of when the mayoral debate was. Mayoral debate took place Tuesday night, October 7th at like 6:45. Here's what the Noonan Times-Herald wrote about it. The three candidates running for mayor of Noonan outlined contrasting visions for the city's future Tuesday night during a public forum hosted by the Noonan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce and the Noonan Times-Herald at the CEC. Mayor Keith Brady, Danny Beck, and James Shepard fielded questions on growth, housing, traffic, and city-county relations in a 90-minute discussion moderated by Dean Jackson and Times-Herald managing editor Clay Neely. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't know who Dean Jackson is. Let's look him up. Dean Jackson Noonan. The first thing that comes up is Local Dirt. Dean Jackson. What in the world? Local Dirt, Dean Jackson, Noonan Podcast Network, October 9th, 2023. Dean Jackson is a public information officer for the Coweta County school system. A Coweta County native, he served in a number of organizations focused on moving the community forward. For more information on Local Dirt, visit localdirt.co. All right, let's go to localdirt.co. And that website doesn't work. When you click the website link, it takes you to this server is managed by Showit. Get started with Showit. Get help. Log in. So Dean Jackson, I'm going to be honest, my friend, not impressed. You might be a great guy. You might be named after the brother in, that's Dean Norris. Dean Norris in Breaking Bad? What's his name? It's not Dean Jackson. I'm wrong about that. You might be loosely named after the cop brother in Breaking Bad, maybe. But I don't know who you are, and there's not an easy way to discover that because guess what? The internet says your website doesn't exist. Can you imagine having a website that doesn't work? Speaking of websites, my website has been updated, so make sure you go to noonandtimewithharold.com and see that my website looks different now. It's very cute. Okay, here we go. Dean Jackson. This is off of Meet Your Citizen of the Year candidate nominees, December 14th, 2023. Dean Jackson is a public information officer for the Coweta County. Yeah, I already read that. Jackson's belief in the importance of developing future leaders was demonstrated in his service as chairman of Leadership Coweta and co-chair of the Noonan County. Okay, none of this says why his website doesn't work. So, baby boy needs to get it together. Your website don't work, dude. So get that fixed because I need to learn about your thing. Anyways, here we go. So, what happened with the mayoral debate? According to comments on Danny Beck for mayor on Facebook. Here are some of the comments. Somebody said, "Great job tonight." Okay, well, that's a good sign. So I'm going to assume that Danny Beck did a great job. Here's a question from Spencer. I have a genuine question for Danny Beck for mayor. If you want to focus on serving the community and not politics, then why run for mayor? I'm not saying that a mayor should not serve the community by any means, but it does make me wonder why you would want to be mayor in the first place. Now, this was asked and it was not answered, which is, from what I have heard about Becky Pants. I say what I have heard. What people have told me directly is that the social media responses by Beck aren't always the best. There are some situations where he responded in ways that people felt were demeaning or ignoring the question or kind of bullying. I've seen him, I don't think it was a great look. The comments I have seen, it's been a while since I've seen anything like that. And all my personal interactions with Becky Pants have been kind and delightful. He and I have each other's phone numbers, which if he becomes mayor, I'll go ahead and post his phone number on Facebook for everyone to see. I'm just kidding. And he's been very, very polite to me, but I also don't ask him hard questions. I asked him if he wanted to come on the podcast, and he wasn't gonna. I asked him where he was, and he told me where he was. I told him I got him some soap, and I was going to bring him some soap, and he never accepted that soap. So while I appreciate his kindness, I now use that soap. And I will tell you what, that soap that I had bought Danny Beck at Market Day that he did not get from me is great, man. That soap smelled good. That is a good smelling soap. So I hope that when he goes to sleep at night and he's smelling his own body, he is thinking, damn, if only, this is my Danny Beck impression, if only I had taken up Harold and gotten that soap from him that he bought for me. Then I could have supported small businesses, and I could smell good. I let him down. I let him down. And you did let me down. And you don't smell as good as me, baby. All right, we're going to hop over to Shepard for Noonan's post about the debate and read some of the comments. So what I can tell you so far about the debate and my recap is that Beck probably I shouldn't say probably. This is improv. I endow. I say exactly what happened. Probablys and maybes and kindas are bad for improv scenes because it doesn't help paint the picture. It almost paints the picture, right? And we're painting the picture. So Beck did a good job, but there were some questions left over about what he knows and what he wants to focus on as the mayor versus he's just a good guy and he wants good things for Noonan. I will also say that during the debate, while he didn't smell bad, he smelled a lot like Old Spice because even though he does support local businesses and stuff like that, he's an Old Spice guy. The silly commercials have really spoken to him, and he prefers using Old Spice like shower gels and shaving creams, Old Spice products, deodorants, versus using Amazing Soap bought on market days. So he definitely smelled like Old Spice while he was debating. And it was noticed. It was definitely noticed by people there that Beck smelled of Old Spice. Because Old Spice has got a distinct smell. It's better than like Axe body sprays and deodorants, but it's not as good as locally provided soap from Market Day, and that was definitely taken into account by some of the people. So here are the comments, some of the comments that came from Shepard for Noonan's post. And I will say, there weren't many on Danny Beck's thing. Shepard posts a lot. He's a very active on social media guy, which mad respect for me, baby. I spend more time posting it on Facebook than I spend eating my veggies. So it's not surprising that he does have more comments and whatnot. So here are some of the reactions to lend to the recap for Shepard for Noonan. It's debate performance. Great debate, James. Again, it's same old, same old. I'll figure it out as I go along. Or Shepard for Noonan, a reasonable, cohesive, obtainable vision for our town. The choice is obvious, especially after tonight's debate. Now, that's very encouraging. That does feel like such a well-worded comment that person probably just works for him. I don't want to say that they work for him because maybe they're just good. See, I'm used to being a bad writer, right? Like the stuff that I post is written as if I am still a homeschooled middle schooler. So I shouldn't judge. That's rude of me to be like, hey, because you wrote something that reads well, you must work for somebody and are paid to write for them. That is incorrect on my part, so I take that back. That person just writes better than me. All right, here we go. Here are some other things. Great job, sir. You were the only one with an actual plan, unlike the soon-to-be ex-mayor, an ability to speak in complete sentences, unlike the other guy. You presented a complete package and ready to lead on day one. So Shepard, when he came in, he did a good job of getting his plan out there and talking specifics, while the other two, you know, probably didn't. Well, they not probably. Sorry, bad. The other two did not have as well ideas planned out. Shepard probably, not probably. Shepard did talk the most during the debate. He's a chatty man. I had him in the podcast maybe a month ago. You can find that episode. I think it's called like Nunes Next Mayor or James Shepard, something. It's an episode and it's on there and it's about James Shepard. And it's an interview with him. That man likes to talk. He is a chatty Kathy Kennedy. I shouldn't have said Kathy Kennedy. That's just somebody who comments on Facebook sometimes, but that's all I could think of is Kathy Kennedy. So shout out to Kathy Kennedy. So Shepard talked a lot during the debate based on this recap of a thing I wasn't there for and have not seen. He chatted a lot. And for a lot of people, the undecided voters, they respected that and they liked that. Some of the others who are less on the fence and are leaning more towards Beck and leaning more towards Brady, they kind of got annoyed by it a little bit, right? They were like, okay, we get it. You're talking. You got a lot of ideas. You got a lot of things to say. You got a lot of feelings. But you need to. We want actions and a history of making the right decision. So I think that I know that is what happened during that part of the debate. Here's some other things said on Shepard for Noonan's post. I love the adamant stance against uncontrolled and unwise growth. I hope everyone will support you because we need this desperately in Noonan. Wish our current leadership in both city and county had some integrity because it's hard to watch what's happening and not be sick about it. Ooh, that is sick. And Shepard actually responded to that one. He said, I completely agree. We have to turn this around quick. Thank you so much for your support. Again, a passionate, the people that are passionate about Shepard for mayor are staying passionate for Shepard for mayor, and they are proud of the job he did at the debate. I thought James commanded the debate. If you can watch that exchange and still think one of Beck or Brady is worth your vote, you're wrong. Beck calling James on his credentials was outrageous. Now, see, I only know the story from other people telling me, but I haven't seen it yet. So what I can say for sure happened is that Shepard was talking a lot, about the future. And Beck, having had more experience in the past locally, started naming organizations that Beck has been involved in and started throwing out like businesses that Beck likes. None of them are soap creators because Beck hates local soap. But he started throwing out like, yeah, what about Foxtail Coffee? And what about Line Creek the Reserve? I'm just picking places I went to last week. What about Doba? What about Pink Flamingo or whatever it's called? What about Golden's on the Square? And he's throwing all these names out. And Shepard's like, I haven't been to that one yet. And wait, what is a foxtail? We got a fox's tail here? And Beck was able to like embarrass Shepard about all the different places that Shepard's never been to yet. And so they were like, I got more credentials because I spend more money locally that's not soap related, said Beck. And then Shepard was like, yeah, but I'm going to go to those places if I'm elected. So I think that's probably what happened. So pretty wild that is what happened. Let's see. Anything else that stands out from these comments? Comments? What the heck is a comment? I was reading the word town when I was trying to say comments, and I said comments. So we're going to say comments going forward. Here's a good part from the debate. OMG, I'm dying. Shepard is killing it. And no rebuttal from Brady on the taxpayers giving their hard-earned money to a stretch of a local developer who is putting a Marriott in downtown. I spit my coffee out. These are the issues we as Noonan are facing. A mayor who makes up beep and tax our money. So what I can confirm that happened during the debate is that Shepard, being the chatty Kathy Kennedy that he is, was like, "Hey, you really want a Marriott in downtown? Because I got this text exchange with you and Madam Marriott." And Brady was so shocked that he had the text exchange that he was like, "Whoa!" And it made everybody that was in the room spit their coffee. And so they had to take a short break from recording to clean up coffee that was messed just all over the place. So there was a coffee break. Now, we've looked at those two, which are specific to the Shepard and the Beck Facebook pages. The best way to get a look of what people are feeling is to go to the Noonan Times-Herald, since Brady doesn't have a campaign page that I've ever seen, and the city of Noonan's Facebook page didn't post anything about it. But if you go to the Noonan Times-Herald, which love the Noonan Times-Herald, those are my besties, you will see a more diverse approach. But we are going to sort our comments by most relevant as we read them. First comment at the very, very top of this thing that we can use to create our recap of the debate is Shepard is the only one that makes complete sense. Someone else said, "I wish I lived in the city limits. I would vote Shepard for sure." Then they get into a conversation that looks like, I don't know, it looks like a bunch of comments have been deleted. Interesting, because those conversations don't matter. Which one of you is actually going to cut taxes and slow development? Answer, none of them. 2 of them have land for sale. 2 of them are real estate agents. Shepard is neither of those. I'm betting on Shepard's. There's a lot of arguing, man, which is not surprising. Shepard for Noon says, "I certainly plan to." So this person says, "Shepard is making all kinds of sweeping promises he won't be able to keep. He has overstated the powers of mayor. He alone can do nothing. If you are betting on Shepard to get in there and lower your taxes, you're in for disappointment." So it's interesting to see this recap of the fact that Beck and Brady have started a real estate company together, and it's called Beck and Brady Real Estate. And Shepard tried to join in as like their real estate lawyer and interior decorator because, as we know, Shepard loves decorating with teal, I guess. Not I guess, sorry. I'm doing a really bad job at showing you guys that I'm an improv director, so I apologize. This podcast episode is just not what I was planning on it being, but whatever. Here we go. We're gonna keep going. And Shepard was not allowed to join their real estate business because Beck and Brady Real Estate is only for people with B's in their names, and Shepard is absent of a B. But what Shepard tried to do is write his last name wrong to Shep Herb, but it didn't work. And so the B Real Estate has no interest in working with Shepard. Floyd says, probably Shepard and Beck are going to split the votes that are against Brady, and he's going to win the election. The only way one of them can win is if one of them drops out, in my opinion. So this is interesting because this brings up something that happened in the debate for sure, for fact. The Mr. Neely actually asked, "Hey, Beck, Shepard, are either of you willing to drop out of the debate and endorse each other?" In which they started fighting. They started like scrapping at each other, like little kitty cat claws, and it had to be broken up. And during that, Brady had fallen asleep behind them because it was way past his bedtime. So just that little kitty cat scratch fight shows us that they are not planning on doing that, but there definitely is pressure from the outside world for one of them to drop out and endorse the other. But we're less than a month away now to this big thing. Here we go. According to a campaign donation records, one of these is a Democrat. Oh, yes, the race is nonpartisan, but that doesn't stop one from managing with liberal or conservative ideas. So this is very interesting because this came up during the debate for fact. they they brought out records for um, presidential voting because they were able to collect those for all three candidates, and it turned out one of them has voted for Hillary Clinton in every election. Oh, Alexa's talking to me. I gotta move my laundry. One of them has voted for Hillary Clinton in every election, even elections that Hillary Clinton has not been running in. Okay, Alexa, stop. They just keep writing in Hillary Clinton, and they are determined to somehow get Hillary Clinton into office. And that doesn't necessarily mean you are a Democrat. It could mean you think it's a funny prank to have Hillary Clinton, or you didn't know how to choose one of the other names. It might just mean you are incompetent. But yeah, one of them, just over and over, has been writing in Hillary Clinton. So they did a bit of studying, and what they discovered was that Brady, who took over during Bill Clinton's initial run as president, that's when he was elected mayor, I believe. That is when he was elected mayor. Actually got a crush on Hillary Clinton during the time. It's not something that he talks about a lot, but if you go like under his mattresses and you look under his bed, he's got like not nudie magazines, but like lingerie magazines. And what has happened is he has taken scissors and cut out newspaper clippings of Hillary Clinton's face and taped them, and not like clear tape, like duct tape them to the lingerie magazines, and you can just find these stacks and stacks of Hillary Clinton lingerie magazines in Brady's mattresses. Which again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it wasn't information that was known, and it became this huge fight during the debate of who was the Democrat. But that does ignore the fact that, sometimes, even if we're not Republican or Democrat, when you have a crush on somebody, you've got those rose-tinted spyglasses, and they make you see things differently. And I don't think it's fair to say that any of them are a Democrat. I think that's, like we talked about earlier, it's okay to be like, hey, we don't know. And I think it's a lot fairer to say, we don't know which one of them is a Democrat. We only know which one of them had magazines with Hillary Clinton's face duct taped to women in lingerie hidden under their mattress. That's all we know for sure. And we only know which one of them has voted for Hillary Clinton in races Hillary Clinton wasn't even running in positions Hillary Clinton wasn't even running in. Yet love blinds us. And I don't think it's fair to be like, we can't vote for someone for mayor because they have a crush on a Democrat. I've got a crush on a Democrat. So it happens. So here's some of the other comments. There are a lot on here that say Shepherd for me. Shepherd, vote Shepherd, that interestingly enough are spelled incorrectly. Shepherd, which is spelled Sheperd, is getting support from people that are planning on voting for Shepard, which is Shepard. I can tell you that every other comment I see about Beck and Brady, they are spelled correctly. No one's adding BICK for go Bick, and no one's adding a U for go Bruddy. But Shepard is getting a lot of support, which brings up another thing that happened during the debate. As you know, it's become pretty big in the last 10 or so years, is proving your citizenship through birth certificates when you're in a race. And Shepard was presented with the opportunity to show, his financials, his grades from high school, things like that. And during that process, he showed his birth certificate. And on his birth certificate, it was actually written James Charles Shepard, A-R-D. And it very much started this debate on how can you not be proud of your name? How can you want to go by a different name than the one you were given? If we can't trust you to stick to your name, how can we trust you to stick to your word? And Danny made a very good point, Danny being his legal first name, Danny. Danny made a very good point that are we going to get Shepherd? Or are we going to get Shepard? Which one are we going to get? And it's kind of divided the voters too, to where some of them like the idea of a Shepherd for mayor, and other ones like the idea of a Shepard for mayor. And there's definitely worry now in the Shepard campaign team that even when people go to vote that are in support of him, if they write Shepard in, those votes will not count. So there's definitely some legal issues going on right now. It might be a little too late. Danny is very much saying that it would be wrong to include any votes for Shepard as Shepherd. So that's definitely going to be something to watch. We might get to Election Day on November 4th, and Shepard becomes the next mayor. And the only way for that to happen is for Shepard to be put in a time machine back to before middle school when he changed his name to Shepard. And we will then have a mayor that is an elementary school student, which I'm not completely against considering how things go. I think we'd have less commercial development and more playgrounds, more McDonald's, stuff like that, if we don't have enough McDonald's. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on, because time machines are not cheap. They're not. This person says, Beck sounded like he wants to continue with overdeveloping our city. He really didn't have any solutions. I like Shepard. It's another one of those. I like Shepard. He had a clear vision. And, because we are basing the recap of the debate on these comments, yes, Beck sounded like he wants to continue with overdeveloping our city, but there was subtext in it. So, like, when Beck would say, I want to overdevelop our city, you had to kind of listen, because you put an inflection on the end. You know how, like, hot girls do, where they're like, I'm single, which means you're hearing the words, but you're listening to the dance of the words, right? Like, you can see the costume of the words, but you have to listen and watch the dance to see what those words mean. So when he talks about, he sounded like, as they pointed out, Beck sounded like he wants to continue with overdeveloping. He's more so saying, like, sarcastically, I want to overdevelop our city. Is that what you think? But, that kind of gets missed through, just when we watch things, and when we sometimes we hear what we want to hear. So it's important to know that Beck very much isn't showing he wants to overdevelop our city. Even though he's saying it, you have to listen to where the inflections are. Because if there's anything about Beck, he is in touch with the young voter, because he's got that really cool car. And so he knows how to use those inflections. So that is definitely something to keep an eye on. So I think that probably covers it. Oh, well, no, we got one more. There's a ton of, again, if you go over the Noon Times Herald post, there's a ton of conversation and excitement happening over there. Keith, give it up. Your run is over. You've made millions off of us, you and your personals, which does bring up something that happened during the debate. There was a point where Brady went around with a collection plate, like you would see at a church on a Sunday morning, and he moved it around the room, and everybody there had to give $1 million to him, because it's that time of the year where the collection plate comes around and Brady gets $1 million. And that was definitely weird to see on the debate that I watched, is just Brady collecting millions and millions of dollars from us and his personals. There was a second collection plate for Brady's personals that then were also another $1 million. So that was a weird thing. It was a weird way to end the debate. Like, Beck had his closing statement where he talked about, it's basically an Old Spice commercial, and he really pushed how good Old Spice was. Shepard did his thing where he apologized for lying about his name and for not knowing any of the downtown businesses. But he said he would make up for both of those thanks to a time machine. He would go back in time and both go by the right name and also visit those places that he doesn't know exist. And Brady just, instead of talking about his plans with a time machine or soap, Brady just, he put that collection plate around and just made millions of dollars. So it was an insane debate. So exciting. I love the spirit of politics happening in our small town. If you want to know the latest news, probably don't keep up with me because I do have a lot of other things going on. But if you want to know the news a little bit late and in a funny way, then I am your source of enlightenment. And I am Noon and Time with Harold. Remember, you can find me on Facebook at Noon and Time with Harold. On Instagram, Noon and Time with Harold. The website, noonandtimewithharold.com. And you can book your business to get some trivia, some improv, stand-up comedy. I do weddings, whatever. We have tons of information at highspiritsentertainment.com. With that being said, hopefully next week I'll have like an interview so you won't have to just hear me talk for 40 minutes. But if not, I love you and I'll be back. I die.